Hello and welcome back to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today I'm reading from my book Ghost Whisperer, and this is chapter 16. So let's get started. Chapter 16. When Connor saw Sara fly upwards, he turned towards another ghost nearby. "Please keep searching while I check with Sara," he said. The other ghost floated into a nearby building. Connor ascended and zipped over to meet with Sara. "We found her," said Sara. "Is she alive and well?" "Yes." Sara gave Connor the address. "Excellent. Can you guard her in case they try to move her? I'll notify my group and then go tell Ed." "Will do. I'll meet you back here once you return." Connor zipped back to his group of ghosts. He told them they could either join Sara or return to the cemetery. They all wished to see this resolved before leaving. Next, Connor zipped towards Ed's apartment complex. It was early in the morning, and Ed was likely at home. It didn't take Connor long to arrive. He floated into Ed's bedroom. "Wake up, Ed." Ed slowly rolled over and opened one eye to see the cause of the disturbance. "Connor? We found her. I need you to call it in." Ed reached over to the bedside table and picked up his phone. He dialed the tribal police officer. "Hello? Officer Ure, I have the location for Abe. Are you ready with a pen?" "Go ahead, I'm ready." Connor told Ed, who passed on the address to the police officer. "I'll handle it from here. Thank your friends for me." "Will do." The call ended. "Connor, I passed on the address. He said to thank everyone involved." "We recruited all the ghosts we could find for this. I must return and thank them all. Sara is there in charge." "Please check in with me later. Now let me sleep," said Ed. "Good night, Ed," said Connor. He left. Abby lay on the floor in a dark room. She couldn't remember how she got there. The last she remembered was leaving for the gathering. A van pulled up and everything went dark. She soon discovered her arms and legs were bound and she was gagged. What she couldn't see were several ghosts floating nearby. In reality, they were there to protect her until help arrived. Time passed. How long she couldn't tell. Suddenly a door opened and a light shined on her. "She's over here," said a voice. She couldn't tell who it was. "Abby, this is Officer Ure. You're safe. Let me untie you." Soon she was free. Ure guided her outside of the building and into a waiting ambulance. "Thank you. You should thank the medicine man. He found you." Connor returned to meet Sara, hovering over the location. "I met with Ed and he passed on the address," said Connor. "Good. Response time should be under 30 minutes. I have ghosts everywhere in case they try to move her," she said. "If they did, let loose the poltergeist on them." "Yes, that's a great idea." Connor looked around, waiting for lights and the sound of sirens. It wasn't long before he saw them in the distance. "Here they come." "I'll redirect the other ghosts to back off. No need to interfere with their rescue effort." Sara descended and entered the building. Soon, ghosts left in all directions. Sara returned to Connor. "Can you follow the girl to hospital?" asked Connor. "Yes, I can do that." Police vehicles and an ambulance converged on the building below them. Most of the ghosts floated above the scene. "That was fun," said one ghost. Connor, ever quick, asked, "Would you like to help with future adventures?" "Sure, just stop by the cemetery. I'm game." Connor turned to Sara. "We've got the resources for similar searches in the future." "Yes, we do." "I see them bringing the girl out. I'll go wait in the ambulance. Once it's over, I'll herd the ghosts back to the cemetery. See you later." Ed didn't receive a phone call until after he woke in the morning. He was enjoying his morning cup of coffee when his phone rang. "Hello. Ed, this is Officer Ure. Your lead was good. Abby is safe in the UW Medical Center." "Awesome. I'm so glad she's okay." "Please tell your friends that was the fastest search in history. They should be proud of their achievement. Will do. I expect I owe several favors to my friends. I understand they recruited all the spirits from a cemetery. Whatever the cost, it was worth it. Call me if you need anything. Ure hung up the call. Ed took a sip of his coffee. He had to leave for work soon. Ed drove to work and pulled up outside Disneytech. Hey Ed, are you okay? You've looked terrible recently, said Blake. Another rough night. You should be careful. Don't give them a reason to fire you. I'll do what I can. Someone I know got into serious trouble and I had to help them. I'll get more sleep tonight. Is your friend okay? Yes, thanks. Ed arrived at his cubicle and turned on his computer. He got to work on the software bug fixes. Later, his phone rang. Hello? Ed, it's Ellen. Any news? Asked Ellen. Sorry I hadn't called you yet. They found her early this morning. She's safe. Awesome. How are you doing? I got hardly any sleep last night. Would you like to visit tonight? You can just relax. I have lots of guest rooms if you need to stay over. I'd love to, but I'm really burned out. Can I get a rain check? Sure. Call me when you've rested. Will do, as soon as I'm rested. Ed ended the call and resumed his work. At quitting time, Ed drove home to his apartment complex. Fortunately, no ghosts were waiting for him. Ed went to bed early and was soon asleep. Next morning, Ed awoke feeling refreshed. He'd slept well last night. He showered, dressed, and brewed a pot of coffee. 2 cups of Seattle's finest made Ed feel much better. He was surprised that nothing bad had happened. Ed drove to work and pulled up outside Disneytech. He searched for Blake but didn't find him. Ed stepped out of his car and a dog approached him. Excuse me, are you the one known as Ed? Asked the dog. Ed did a double take. He didn't expect something to happen outside his workplace. Yes, my name is Ed, he said. Good. When is a good time to talk? I'm aware you're just going to work. To others, talking with a dog would appear strange. Ed was used to crows and bears and bobcats. What's a dog compared to that? I don't know. How about after work? You could meet me here around 6 p.m. We can drive to my place and talk. That works for me. I don't have a watch, but I can estimate the time. Good. See you then. Ed left the dog and entered the building. Mid-morning, Ed received a call. Hello? Ed, this is Panna. Hello, Panna. How can I help you? Asked Ed. 2 things. Washta is home again, and she wants to thank you when you have time to visit. My granddaughter Abby is home again too. Thank you so much for that. Your presence has been a blessing on this community. I'm glad on both counts. I have an appointment after work tonight. Perhaps I'll have time to visit tomorrow evening. I've got your number now, so I can call to confirm. Great. Call if anything changes. The call ended. It amused Ed how busy he'd become. So many people to see. His calendar was full. It wasn't long ago when he rarely had any appointments. Ed resumed his work. He half anticipated Connor to arrive next with another request for something. Fortunately, Connor was busy elsewhere. At quitting time, Ed shut down his computer and left the building. As he approached his car, the dog arrived. Ed shrugged and opened the passenger door. The dog jumped in and Ed entered the driver's side. Good evening, Ed, said the dog. Good evening, said Ed. He drove to his apartment complex and parked in the parkade. No barking, please. This is supposed to be a no-pets building. Understood. They took the elevator and went into his apartment. No one saw them. So, how can I help you? Asked Ed. My name is Adam. When I recently died, I returned as a dog. I need a kind family to live with. I won't last as a stray dog without ending up in the pound. So the family is like a cover? Kind of. I can't go live in the wild. I need to live with a family who will care for me. Do you have any special needs? I'll behave well. I require food and water and a place to sleep. They'll need a license, and I'll wear a collar and all that. And you think I can find you a family? I'm not exactly running a pet adoption business. You're my only hope. Perhaps you know someone. Ed scratched his head as he tried to think of someone, and then he had a sudden insight. Could you work as a service dog? As in for the blind or disabled? Well, I know someone who has suffered emotional trauma. You could offer the unconditional love only a dog can provide. That sounds like worthwhile work. Well, you can't stay here. Let me make a call. The dog made a nodding gesture. Ed pulled out his phone. He called Panna. Hello. Panna, would it be possible to visit you tonight? Can you have Abby and her parents at your place too? He asked. Sure. How soon will you arrive? If I leave now, I will arrive in about half an hour. See you then, Ed. Ed turned to the dog. Adam, time to meet your new family, said Ed. Adam barked in excitement. Oh, sorry, I forgot myself. Ed grabbed his keys. Let's go before someone hears you. 20 minutes later, Ed pulled up in front of a single-level house. This was Panna's home, just down the street from Washta's. Ed opened the door, and Adam jumped out. They understand about people reincarnated as animals, said Ed. But I wasn't a Native American. It doesn't matter. You get a family, and Abby gets a support dog. That's the deal. Understood and agreed. Did something bad happen to her? A few days ago, someone kidnapped her. I don't know how badly it hurt her, so be patient with her. Okay, let's go. Adam walked just to the left of Ed like a show dog. Ed rang the doorbell. Panna opened the door. Panna glanced at the door. Come in, Ed. We're ready. Ed and Adam walked inside. In the living area was Washta, Abby, and her parents. Everyone was smiling at Ed. Fortunately, Abby showed no bruises. Thank you so much for saving our Abby, said her mother. The ghosts found her. I passed on the message to Officer Urey. The police rescued her. We thank you. Ed shrugged. I have a request for you now, said Ed. What is it? Just name it. Ed pointed at the dog. This is Adam. He's an emotional support dog. I need you to accept him into your family. Adam walked slowly over to Abby and sat down at her feet. Abby tentatively reached out and stroked his head. You must get a dog license for him, a leash and a collar. Consider it done, said her father. Thank you. The dog is very intelligent and he promised to behave well. Adam looked over at Ed. Panna handed Ed a cup of tea. He sat down beside Washta. Hello, Washta. Good to see you again, he said. Thank you, Ed. I know you called 911 for me. Absaroki flew at night to my place. He asked me to come and check on you. I wouldn't know otherwise. You both helped, she said. Ed smiled. Absaroki suggested I move closer so he has less distance to fly. If you're serious about it, I can talk to the elders. We can arrange for a place on Duwamish land. I'll keep that in mind, said Ed. He hadn't intended to make being a medicine man his full-time job. Adam quietly walked over to Ed. Hey, Ed, please tell her to make a chart with pictures of different things. I can point to what I want, he said. Sure. Hey, Abby, you can make a chart with pictures. Adam can point to what he wants. She looked at Ed and Adam. Like go for a walk, food, potty. Yes, and more. Abby stood and walked over to Ed. That sounds like a fun project. Thank you, Uncle Ed. She hugged Ed before he could object. Ed looked at her parents, who just smiled at him. Is Adam like my Absaroki? Said Washta. He wasn't formerly Duwamish. He just reincarnated, said Ed. That means he's intelligent and he is committed to help. Washta smiled. Well, it's late and I must get home. I have work tomorrow, said Ed. He stood and moved toward the door. If you ever need anything from us, we're family now. said Panna. "I understand." Ed returned to his car and drove home. Back at the apartment, Ed was soon in bed. As he lay trying to sleep, he heard footsteps in the apartment. "Come back tomorrow. I'm too tired now," said Ed. The sound stopped. He thought he heard a "sorry," and that was the end of the noises. Next morning, Ed woke up in bed. He showered, dressed, and got himself a pot of coffee. No ghost disturbed his quiet time as he sipped his coffee. He drove to work and pulled up outside Disnotech and entered his workplace. "Hey, Ed," said Blake. Ed looked over the cubicle wall at his coworker. "Good morning, Blake. Are you interested in lunch today? There's another restaurant I want to try, if you're willing." "Sure, as long as it's not another Haitian restaurant. You drive, as you know the place." "Of course." Around noon, Blake called over the cubicle wall. "Ed, time to go to lunch." "Sure," said Ed. He locked the screen on his computer and put on his jacket. They left the building and climbed inside Blake's car. Blake drove them to the restaurant. "This is an Italian restaurant in the older part of town," said Blake. "Okay." They went inside and got seated at a table. Ed looked around the room. "This is cute. The other diners are in fancy attire. It gives the place a certain ambience," said Ed. Blake looked up from the menu. "Huh? What are you on about?" "The other diners are wearing period clothing." Ed looked at a man wearing a green jacket and a bowler hat. A woman in red sat at a nearby table. They scowled at Ed as he looked at them. "Ed, I don't see any other diners. It's a quiet lunchtime or something." "Oh, so we're alone in here?" asked Ed. "Yes." The woman in red stood up from her table and scowled at Ed. "Hey, Ed, it says the building is over a century old." "Oh, really?" "It used to be a mortuary long ago," said Blake, with excitement. Ed watched the woman. When Blake returned his attention to the menu, Ed shrugged. The woman raised her eyebrows. Ed tried to ignore the malevolent stares from the ghosts in the room. "Blake, I wonder why this place is so quiet." "Why?" "I'm just curious." Blake waved to the waitress. "I think I'll try the penne," he said. She made a note in her pad. "Make that 2 orders, please. And which way to the washroom?" asked Ed. The waitress pointed towards the back. Then she left to take in their order. "I'll be back." Ed stood and left for the back. He passed the woman in red and gestured for her to follow. He was careful to ensure Blake didn't notice. The woman followed Ed into the back. Ed turned to face her. "Look, I'm sorry to intrude. My friend insisted we come here for lunch. I didn't know you were here." "You can see me?" "I thought there was something about you." "I can see all of you." I need to discuss with them, but I think I can convince them to let you finish your meal," she said. "Thank you. In return, you must return alone soon, and we can talk." "Okay." Ed returned to the dining room and sat down, opposite Blake. He regretted being obligated to the ghost, but he had no choice. The waitress returned with 2 plates of penne pasta. "This smells delicious," said Blake. Ed smiled. He looked around at their audience. Scowls persisted, yet the woman in red spoke with the other ghosts. They kept their distance, but it was unnerving to be watched like that. The pasta tasted good. Maybe they offered takeout. Ellen would enjoy this. After lunch, they paid their bills and left. The day arrived to set up the safe deposit box at the bank. He called Kate. "Kate, just a reminder that I'll meet you at the bank at 2. "Sure thing, bro. Bring all your gold and diamonds with you," chuckle. In reality, Ellen had the diamonds. He didn't have any gold. He didn't tell Kate that. Ed departed the office to reach the bank on time. He brought the duffel bag he'd got from Connor. Kate stood outside, waiting in the sunshine. "Hello there," he said. They entered the bank. After some paperwork, they received their keys. The banker showed them to a room with his box on the table. Ed waited for the banker to leave them alone in the room. So what are you putting inside the box? She asked. I trust you to keep this to yourself. Of course. If stuff happens, you have access to this. No need for a will. Okay, you're scaring me, Ed. Ed opened the box and moved stacks of cash into the box. He left the gun and the false passports in the bag. Holy crap, Ed. I know, I got it doing some crazy spy work for the CIA. You can't tell anyone about this. Are you kidding me? The CIA? I'm serious. Kate mimed the action of zipping her lips. Ed closed the box and called the banker back to secure the box. Soon, Ed and Kate left the bank. I have to get back to work. I'll see you again soon. Keep that key safe. I will. See you soon, bro. Well, that's the end of chapter 16. Next episode we have chapter 17. Ed and Ellen create a charitable trust. They captured the kidnappers. Ed talks with the ghost woman in red. Later, she visits his workplace. Alright, see you next episode.